4080. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady.
I meant to say this at the beginning, and I need to start saying this more often with total respect, okay? So you got to check out our IG, at Gotham Jungle. It's at Gotham Jungle for YouTube, and it's at Gotham Jungle for IG. I've been meaning to say this all the time, and I owe this person an apology, okay? We are in the basement of Savage Sound Studios, of which, if you Google it, you could be here too. He's going to have to change the background, though, for you. Okay, this is our shit. Okay? And I just want to say how much I totally, because we're about to be, wow, we're getting down the road on shows now. Yeah. So we're at a point now where we do need to stop here and just kind of give the flowers of us getting down the road this far. Yeah. And how we've grown, and God forbid we got to steal Lou's hard drive, because Lou has all the outtakes. Yeah. So when this thing gets big, he's going to like show it and shit, and it's going to look real fucking crazy. Yeah, so you got to figure that out. Okay, but I did want to stop and say that. I meant to say at the beginning, I'm gonna say it at the end. Savage Sound Studios, we're in the basement. Industry rule number 4080. This is what we do.
Let's do it.
Okay, Grammy edition. What'd you want to jump in and say at that point in time?
I did want to make a quick. I do think that.
Trying to stay in these arms.
I do think that. All right, so the Grammys. I mean, that's pretty much the theme of the year. But yeah, I think in terms of R&B and hip hop, you know, I can speak more for those two genres than I can speak for pop and country and rock, stuff like that. Fairly.
So here's the part that goes back to our previous point, and the floor is yours. Mm-hmm. If you go to the UK, you go to Japan, you go to Australia, mm-hmm. There are no breakdown of charts. The music is the music is the music. We are the only culture that diversifies, which divides our culture. That's why I go back to.
It's our stuff.
That's why I go back to. I don't like the boxes and who's in the box with who, because I think it's magnificent that Dolly Parton can make "I Will Always Love You" and Whitney Houston can make "I Always Love You," and they're both great songs. Not one's a country song and one's an R&B song or a pop song. It's just a song.
Well, I'm gonna kindly disagree with that, because I feel we need that distinction, because we need that. We had to kind of create a box out of nothing, and it's our box, so we have to enable to for us to think out of it and be and pretty much ooze out of that box. We had to create the box. So I just feel I appreciate the fact that we have a bots. Unfortunately, we don't own the bots. You know.
So I'm gonna take it a step further, and to bring it full circle.
You know.
And then Lou's gonna jump
it's
in.
It's all bots. So
and Lou's gonna jump in and say, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was always our box.
Right.
Going back to culture that has nothing to do with the music industry. What happened is that when people brought us over and brought us around, they said, look at what they do. We need to learn how to do that.
Right.
And once they learned how to do that, they're the ones that separated the box, because they did not want to be associated with the original box.
Right. But
so that doesn't mean that we had to make our own box. No. We may have had to. I'll even agree with you on this. Maybe we had to reclaim what box we represent, but we never did the separation of the boxes. Somebody did the separation of the boxes to us.
I got you, Tally. But I'm not saying we got to go by what is.
And I'm stating what is.
We got I understand that. I get it. We created it. It's us. But if it was taken, it was taken. And if it was taken 500 years ago, guess what? 100 years ago, we said, all right, we emerging back. This is what it is.
Have my face on the camera.
I'm just saying, it is what it is. Like,
Here's
here's the thing that you do, right? Here's the thing that you do.
Okay.
Right? You like to do this. All right, yeah, but, originally, this is what it is. Like Stevie Wonder, it would be no love on top if it wasn't for Stevie Wonder. I get it.
You still hot on that, nigga.
No. I'm just saying, but it is what it is. It doesn't, you can give...
You want to take what's current without the prior content.
No. I want to take prior contents. You can't take it away, but prior contents doesn't take away from the. It doesn't take away from the significance of where we are today.
So
and that's just the way I think. Period. Because it's like all right.
The significance. I agree with you. Doesn't take away from how we've evolved from it.
Yeah, right. Because we weren't there.
And I agree with you. Then this is why I go this way. Okay, if that was the case, and I'm speaking life for 2 seconds, then there wouldn't be anything called a history class. Okay. The fact of such, okay, is that it's not. I'm not trying to be old school on some. We don't know if we're going, we know where we've been. I'm not doing that. Okay, what I'm saying is that here you go, Lou. You'll love this. From a project management standpoint, we at least have to have a lessons learned about it and then move forward. If we act like the lessons learned doesn't exist, then we will always be in the box of just accepting what happens and it is what it is. So within that, watch this, okay? Ready to laugh, Lou? So if Tyler Perry doesn't get the lessons learned of what he does in film, then he doesn't build the magnificent Disney world of black film down in Atlanta and have the world thinking that we don't have to be in California no more to make movies because there's a lessons learned from what he has seen and he has heard. Same thing with Oprah with her network. Same thing with Jay-Z and his billions. Same thing with anything that's moved forward and progressed. So within that, all I am saying is that at the end of the chapter, right, Lou? At the end of every project management chapter, the very last thing we do before we move on is the lessons learned. And that's all I'm stating. No more, no less. And let's build off of that.
But what I'm right. I mean, you're pretty much you're not really understanding what I'm saying. I'm not articulating it the way I'm thinking. But what I'm
totally
saying is
understanding it.
Here's what I'm saying. We put all this weight on the Grammys in the first place. Right? And I know I know that the BET Awards or Source Awards or whatever awards is relevant or whatever, Soul Train, you name it, that we've had to reclaim and rebuild. Those are the Tyler Perry Studios of our awards, all right? So we did that because they make it seem like the Grammy is so prestigious and original when obviously if you take into what you just said with the history lesson, it obviously isn't, right? But it's important to acknowledge and for the culture and the artists and the participants to acknowledge the source, essence, well, not essence, source, Soul Train, BET Awards. Because these are the Rihannas, the Drakes, and the Jay-Z's don't even show up. They don't care. They don't showcase those awards, but they are still giving the Grammys the nod by Kanye still gives the Grammys the prestige when he's saying that he's not giving it the prestige by pissing on the awards and showing that he doesn't care about it and having Blue Ivy use it as a sippy cup or whatever they like to do, or Drake putting champagne in it and drinking out of it, saying that they don't care about it. It's still giving the Grammys weight. Because in the same vein, they do not even show up to where they're celebrated the most. So I just wanted to make a statement where this may not be as qualitative as we're used to, but I think it's necessary to say that we should appreciate the strides that the culture has taken to establish some prestige internally.
The Grammy thing is no different than being in the NFL or working for
The NBA and the Big Three,
or working for MGM Studios. It's what was first. So based on what was first is what you're being attached to. So, and the first would quote potentially be perceived as the foundation or the establishment, whatever the case may be. So that's why Jay-Z can say on ape shit, right, on his rap verse, how many times he got nominated didn't win, right? But in his rap verse, because it's the original, it's the foundation of what things represent. Okay, so that part I agree with you on. So I think the way to land this, and then Lauren wants to jump in, is that both can be true.
Both are true.
They both can absolutely be true.
Right. And going back to Tally's history point, and I think that there are some things that you might not be appreciating the way that you could be.
Like?
So I was going to mention that. You know, the Grammys was the first, right? It was for a industry of music and musicians and executives and labels to give themselves kudos on records that were performing off of a culture that was largely stolen.
Right.
Right? Like, we consider rock not our music.
It is ours.
There would not be a rock that people who are not in our culture embrace if not for
4 or 5 black people.
Right, that started that, right? There would not be a jazz that we unfortunately do not embrace the way that we should if it wasn't for the folks in the Bayou and in the South that were making this type of music. Right? That's just the reality. What you see here is an effort to right a ship that was lopsided. So when Jay-Z boycotts the Grammys for over a decade, in order for him to come back, because he's one of the biggest stars on the planet, they have to make some certain concessions. Concessions have to be made. That's why you get ridiculous categories like melodic rap, because the people who are really hardcore rap executives, labels, etc., goes, look at all this sing-songy shit. Right? Put that somewhere else. So that Nas
Magic can count.
Right.
a Grammy and a Magic can count and that sort of thing. So they're
acknowledging
it literally is both. So I see what you're saying. The problem with it is, and as you know, the adage goes, and it can never be more true, is that those who fail to recognize history are doomed to repeat it. Right? And with a lot of younger folk in particular, there seems to be a almost Trumpian disregard
and defiance
for history, because it informs how you move. It informs how you think. So you might say, I don't want to listen to none of this old school shit. To be honest, there's a lot of that shit that I don't want to listen to. However, I'm aware and I'm conscious of where it comes from. So if I happen to roll down 227th Street and run into Cool Herc, I know, I stopped by, gotta buy you a patio on the corner or something like that. Like it's a different thing. You know what I'm saying? If he gets sick, we can, donate to his GoFundMe, which is unfortunate that has to be the case.
Right.
But it's a lot of it, and then there's a lot of it that is self-perpetuated. Like, we put ourselves in some of these predicaments. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of paying attention to all of that.
And you're emboldened to it, and you're actually a part of it because you, with pride, speak on things that you know historically. Right? So when I talk about when I say Return of the Mac, okay, you have a reminiscent moment from when you grew up because that's one of your father's favorite songs.
Right.
Okay, you have a reminiscent smile about what that is. Not that's his shit. No, that's your shit. Okay? And when we grew up, and even when we were defiant as we were listening. Right? So we could sit back right now, right, Lou, and hear My Mic Sounds Nice by Salt and Pepper and The Old Way Lovers in the House by Heavy D and say, that's Grover Washington Jr. Right? Because not that we love jazz, but we were emboldened to listen to it anyway, and we still said, wait, that's a jazz record I know. So that's the history, not doing a repeated thing that you're speaking to. But I just want to have some lessons learned. Okay, if we could do lessons learned, and I'm small on this. I'm not trying to toot a horn. I'm big on making love in the rain. I'm good.
Right. and to get back to put a
most
bow,
people my age can't
bow
give
on
you
how
an
we
answer.
got here, right? We were talking about the categories, right? Overseas, it's just music, and if the record is popping, it's popping. You also have to understand that the U.S. music market is the biggest music market on the planet.
Very fair.
Right. So
Very fair.
So not for necessarily the reasons that you're giving, Quan, about let's take our shit back, which I guess there might be some of that. But the other thing that kind of just makes more complete logical sense is that you're not talking about a field of 100 records. You're talking about a field of 1,000 records.
Right. It's like talking sneakers.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, I fuck with the ones all day, but them Yeezys is hot. we Foam Posits was hot for a second.
Right.
Like, we got, like, Foam Posits is a category of sneaker.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't think 100% from the point that you're saying. Like, it's just us pulling our shit back. Which some of it,
right? No.
Some of it that is, and I'm sure that there are executives in our culture that's speaking in these rooms to get these categories added so that everyone could get their flowers on the first thing, right? Which is the Grammys, right? It was before BET and Soul Train and all the other type of awards.
It's 50 years older. So
absolutely.
Yeah. It's like, to give some context to what I'm saying, let's be clear. I'm not talking about the people my age that can't speak my language musically. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the ones that actually did the do, for lack of a better term, right? The ones that not only grew up in this what we call culture or whatever, because for us it's culture. For all these other genres, it's just music. Except for you got your rocks, and
right. But if they were in the room, they would debate it. But I got you for it.
Right? Yeah, definitely. Right. And I respect it, and I respect those other cultures. Mm-hmm. But I mean, for us, I think that when it comes to something that we created, it holds a little bit more weight. So I deal with fashion, right? So fashion, when we talk about the Ralph Lauren and all that, the Polo and the Nautica and the Tommy, what we grew up wearing, and before me, the 2 decades before me, what everybody was wearing from where we come from and what was considered to be the prestige garments.
40 below Tims.
You know what I'm saying? It's this guy. But you also have to acknowledge, it's like this, history comes in layers, right? So there's a layer of overarching history, right? Where who made up the modern T-shirt? Who made up the modern? How did we go from knickers to jeans? And you have those things, right? And then you have a new age history where the Walker wears came about, right? Like after the Polo Ralph Lauren 60s or whatever, when hip hop came about, we had a new appreciation for what they labeled urban wear, right? But I think it should I think sometimes we go along with the labels that's given, and we kind of mess it up ourselves because we don't continue the history. The history becomes short-lived at that point.
Right. Passe is passe.
You know what I'm saying? So now the walk away is just, oh, I remember when walk away was hot.
Right.
Instead of saying, oh,
Perpetuating walk away to now.
right. You see what I'm saying? So,
Walker.
you know, the car canines. And then when it becomes when the car canine when the kid in the suburbs of outside of Boston starts
Wearing Carl
thrifting Carl Kanai shirts,
Then we're done.
now
We're done.
We it has to be a resurgence. But there was a whole time where you weren't active. When that could have been history that was filled.
Or it gets done because culture moves on.
Or yeah, right. But that's because it's the lack of sustainability. And when things become like that, I feel that's what happens with hip hop a lot of the times and R&B a lot of the times. When I think, but it may be a moot point, but I think that these are things that I sit down and think about all the time when it comes to different parts of the culture. And I think the award ceremony is just a microcosm of that concept that I'm trying to like bottle up. So that's that. It may be a little, all over the place, but that's the point I was trying to make.
I wish that
If it makes any sense.
I wish that I just on the urban side, I just would like to see more of a caring to perpetuate and move the culture with what they do musically, because it was started by that same culture. So I think that's one of the reasons why I get very excited about when the records aren't good or when the records aren't what they're supposed to maintain, because if we're going to be respectful to what it is, we're supposed to be the driving force of this. Mm-hmm. Everything comes after what we do it. And when I hear songs from other people, I'm like, this song is better than I've listened to every R&B album we've discussed to listen to. Mm-hmm. Every one, from Summer Walker to Her, to all the Giveon records, to Fill in the Blank, to Jasmine Sullivan, the whole thing. I'm saying with a straight face, there's not one song as good as the Billie Eilish song. It's not one, from a pure writing standpoint. And then we've had debates about how talented this one is, how talented that one is, and we've talked about camps and concepts and labels and up. And I'm sitting back and I'm saying, yeah, but this Olivia Rodrigo girl is writing songs. She's writing us out of our socks right now, by herself.
You know why?
we do it. That's not about why. I've been saying that I'm not into the why. I'm into the we gotta do better. Okay, it's like we gotta get this way. I'm going old school on you. Okay, when we have Ice Ice Baby, Hug Baby says, "Fuck that, we're doing this." Okay, when Eminem gets big, Jay-Z says, "Fuck that, we're doing this. We're just doing bigger and we're doing better because we are better." I'm not comparing. I'm not contrasting. I'm just recognizing and saying, here's what we gotta do. And I'll push us to make sure that we do it. And that's what I want my culture to do when it comes to music moving forward. I don't want to debate about it. I don't want to discuss what's good or bad about it. I want us to sit back, like when it comes to fashion or comes to basketball, and say, this white boy point guard's great. And then Kyrie Irving says, fuck that, I'm Kyrie Irving. That's what I want our culture to do, because that's what we do better than anybody else. What we do better than anybody else from inventing stuff, we say, fuck that, that's what we're doing.
And that's what goes back to the conversation that we had a couple pods ago regarding who's going to win Houston this.
Yeah, like I'm
you're there.
It's there.
It's
you're
like
there. Right. Right.
You have your.
No, you said that's a fantastic point, because it goes both ways. It's where's the voice, and then what's my part of it, and where's the record.
You got.
Time for the young boy to defend the Summer Walker record.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, you want cutting and all right, boom.
Yeah. Let's.
I'm not defending it, so we can get into it. I ain't defending it.
We can
so
wrap
let's
this
do
up in the bow by doing that. I'll be right here sipping my tea.
We could do it. You ready?
I have nothing to do it.
Y'all ready? All right, new episode, right? All right, let's do it. Summer Walker. I'm over. No, still over it. Still over it. I feel this may be tough, and this may be off-brand for me. I think the album is low-bearing fruit. Slow bearing fruit for her potential. But potential doesn't matter in this space.
Bring the same energy that you had sitting on that side of the couch.
Well, I wasn't caping for summer though. I was caping for.
What?
Oh,
I was caping for summer. This the part where you put the video of me caping for summer.
All I know,
I might do.
I know.
This the part where you put the split screen.
I know for sure. And as I said before, there might be something in that chair. On that side. I know for sure that you, respectfully, one of your proudest moments on this podcast trail was your fight and desire to make sure that me and Lou gave respect to two people on earth. One was her, and the other one was Summer Walker. Absolutely. Now.
Okay.
My only comment on the Summer Walker album is this. Okay.
And then get into my deep dive.
And you could do straight your deep dive. Okay, because Lou's gonna be surprised at this. From a standpoint of song 1 to song 15, because they're both about 15 songs in. Okay. The Summer Walker album has a better consistency. The Her album goes up, down, all around, as I gave the previous Alicia Keys example of what they're trying to find records. Like, for example, Damage is not a thread on the Her album. Okay. Whereas the thread of My Baby Daddy Did Me Dirty, I'm not okay, I'm trying to get over it, and I'm mad in a lot of different ways, is an absolute thread of the whole album. And musically, tempo-wise, instrument-wise, all the songs are basically cousins within that vein.
Right.
Now, bright spot on the album. Surprise, surprise. This is how much I listen to the album. The Omarion record is actually a good record. I like the Omarion record.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Okay. So if I had to pick one or the other, I'm actually picking the Summer Walker album from a standpoint of compared to her being Chop City. I'm done. I just defended you for 2 seconds. You should be proud of me. Go ahead.
Man. I'm not defending me. So look.
Okay.
I think that Summer Walker album was underwhelming for me. I think it was low bearing fruit. I think
Sean Garrett's writing all over that record, by the way, Lou.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And
which quickly is shockingly disappointing.
I was about to say that.
Yes.
It's disappointing, but still intriguing because
can I say he played down to the competition rather than stepping up to the competition? Because Sean Garrett wouldn't even pull that in a Beyonce session.
Right. No, but this is why that goes down to the artist. That just goes to show you who Summer is.
This goes back to our conversation about the camp compared to the label.
But
did the thing about her contract happen after we had that podcast?
What, about her not making any money?
About how
the percentage splits or whatever?
Yeah, about how
I think it was after.
Horrible. That was after, right?
I think it was after.
Yeah, it was after. But that's excuse me. All right. So in terms of the construction of this album, right? So it's 3 pieces. You got production wise, I think London did like 50% of the album. I think he was still involved. The guy that she's writing about did half of this album.
I get it.
Which is weird. It's crazy.
Before you go on, Quan,
it's crazy. Yeah.
Let's take it back however many pods and start back with the question that you started with.
Which one?
Is it
Camp?
the artist?
Or is it the camp?
I think in this case, all right, with the cameras on me, right? I think that this is a mixture of both. One, it's the blind leading the blind. I don't know who's leading because you have Summer. She brought the concept. The concept is not too deep. This is what happened to me. My heart is broken. Not only I'm scorned. And I'm bitter and I'm pissed. And I know it's going to click to the audience. I know it's going to be an audience for this. A lot of people can relate. And it's an emotional album. It's an emotional concept, I should say, right? So then you get London, the guy who did the last album, her ex, the guy who she's talking about. He does half the album, so it's not. I'm surprised the album sounds so cohesive because he didn't do the whole thing, but it's cohesive in concept, not cohesive in sound, I should say, right? But then you have Sean Garrett. He wrote.
They say the high bar of low expectations.
So can I say 2 sentences?
Yeah.
In reference to the camp or the label.
It's both to me.
You know who you described?
Trainwreck.
You described Lemonade. Different album, same concept, smash album.
You know where I was going? My life.
Mary J. Blige. So those are 2 examples of my life. Oh, I'll say I'm in the middle of KC breaking my heart as I make this album. That's my life. Okay, I'm in the middle of smashing DMs of the chick on the side with Jay-Z. But the art, remember I told you before? Let me start, not you. I'm gonna say it that way. Remember we discussed before? Sometimes the artist has to have the drive to make the biggest records possible. So it doesn't matter who's writing, who's producing. You step in this room, you step up your game. As you step up your game, you're part of what's going on. And then if you're not stepping up your game, then it is somebody. No. Let's talk. I'm gonna use my life. Okay. So if you're walking in the studio to record songs on my life, okay, and the songs are sounding a lot like What's the 411, the original album, right? Right? It's up to somebody to walk in the room, Sean Combs, and say, "Fuck that. We're not doing that. Step it up. We're doing bigger and better records." Because of what this represents,
and that didn't happen.
With Summer Walker,
not even a little bit.
And that's why I get disappointed. To my favorite phrase, make the damn record.
I got you. But look, who's in terms of my life, gentleman that just passed a few months ago. What's his name?
Chucky Thompson,
right? Chucky Thompson. You would say would you say he's like, besides Mary, the second most important person in that equation?
No, there's a lot of people that's a part of that equation. Yeah. Okay. And then to be honest with you, that's probably transition when Chucky was gonna hang out and be Faith's guy. Because he's gonna be a face main guy. No, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that's involved.
Killed it though. Like
it's a lot of people involved. But the person that again, okay, here we go. The difference between the My Life album and the Summer Walker album is one name, Sean Combs.
To executive producer.
A&R. One difference. Okay. And this is why I got back to when you talked about how artists are independent, they're doing their own thing, they have their whole team. And I said, well, if they have the team, so the formula, okay,
right.
Perfectly, the formula of before you even hear the album. Okay, here we go, guys. We're going to put Summer Walker with London. Sean Garrett's going to write. How's that sound on paper, Lou?
Sounds great.
There you go. But what happens is that if there isn't an executive in the room to make sure it's being navigated the proper way, you may end up getting what you got. That Summer Walker album.
Right. Hear me out.
May need you in the room.
Clearly, right? But here's what I'm saying. The album, man. I feel the album is successful where it is. And I'm saying successful in terms of where it stands in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. In the audience, because of not only today's climate, but the women. I don't want to sound crazy, but the women of today's climate cling to this story, right? They're connected to the story. Like there's a big online presence and thing around this relationship.
But you can make a bigger record.
I don't like the record. Let's be clear. No. All right, let's be clear. Quan doesn't like the record.
I just want the artist
saying what is. I'm not saying I agree with everything y'all saying. I don't like it. Mm-hmm. It's not. I don't play it in the car. I don't play it at home when I'm cleaning. It's not that. I can play my life while I'm driving, when I'm with my girl, when I'm cleaning, when I'm with my moms, in front of my grandmoms, or whoever. That's that type of album, right? This, no. So you already know where I stand with it.
Okay.
This is not even a share my world. This is not there. It's none of that. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is
horrible analogy, by the way, everybody. Just a horrible analogy.
What? Share my what?
No, because Mary J. Blige is one of the top 5 R&B singers of 2
period.
generations,
Yeah.
and Summer Walker is basically
But y'all brought
very,
it
very,
up.
very loose.
Y'all brought it
She's
up.
very loose. She's the CC Peniston to that.
All right. Right, but in terms of no, peep game. In terms of sophomore out, y'all brought it up as a sophomore thing. I just thought y'all was making that comparison or an analogy.
No,
not
we're
a
fine.
comparison.
No, we're fine. I'm just letting the Goju
audience
Nation know that we ain't crazy.
Goju Nation knows.
No, I gotta say
Damn
it.
well.
I gotta say it. It is social media. I gotta say it.
So
I'm not just the president. I'm also a
So I think Summer she has a long way to go. I think in terms of developing into the artist that I think she can be, I don't think she's mentally even there yet.
Let me pitch her some bail.
This is
I'm
me.
gonna pitch Summer Walker some bail.
Yeah, I don't need her bill.
I'm gonna
Okay.
pitch her some bail.
I don't need bail. Yeah.
Some people are not built for trauma. Right? Beyonce is a strong girl. They raised that girl from a kid, from a toddler, to be a certain way.
To be this.
To be a certain way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Give another one.
Mary, in a different way, by way of her traumatic upbringing
In the hood.
a different thing.
Summer
Walker may not have.
I'm gonna throw in a third name that's not either one, but fits the category. Amy Winehouse.
Right.
It's a different type of tough.
Right.
It's a different type of tough. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm willing because I like her voice. I like her tone. I don't like her production in general, whether it's fucking London or whoever else is on that team. Right. So I'm gonna shoot Summer Walker bail for this album because she went through some traumatic shit, and it might have distracted because the records on this album not even as good as the ones from the last, and that's a thing, right? If you're down sliding from 1 to 2,
And I don't
right?
get how everyone says that it is.
But let's see what happens next. I have a feeling that there'll be a follow up sooner than later.
I think with all the I think female R&B has that burden to bear.
Yes.
Okay, where they need to step it up and not let.
That's going to show you how bad male R&B, because they're kicking male R&B ass.
I'm hoping this turn. No. It's a little bit different with male R&B, but let me get back to it.
Yeah.
It's the burden that female R&B has to bear because they had to be strong enough to not be so female empowered by what they represent to allow proper talent in the room to work with them. Because for example, I don't think Jasmine Sullivan feels right now that anybody could tell her anything after getting a Grammy nomination off of her album called Hotels. So I think her next album, she thinks she's going to have the whole concept all down. She's going to do it again because she got a Grammy nomination. But in scheme of things, for what her voice represents and for what her raspy range could be, she could make some amazing records if she allowed somebody to A&R her. She just hasn't had the right person to A&R her for her whole career, to be honest with you.
Can I give you?
Okay, and that's what I need these female artists to do. Now, the difference between the male singers is that at least, and I'll use our favorite argument, okay, at least Heartbreak Anniversary is here to break out in such a monstrosity type of way. And it's such a good record of such major magnitude that at least lets us know that male R&B has it in them to at least do it. I don't know if it's in female R&B.
I got you, but it's just him.
That's enough because the female R&Bs, I don't have one to say it's just her.
But
I don't have that.
All right, but all right,
Okay?
let's switch gears.
And I can sit back and say very clearly, just me.
Yeah.
Okay, based upon Heartbreak Anniversary. And I'll give you an album that we're waiting on too on a big level that nobody's talking about. The next Daniel Caesar album, based upon the past one, we're anticipating being okay.
And Khalid.
We'll see what he does. But I'm saying
Did
that.
you hear it last month?
Huh?
Khalid?
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, you're feeding into my point that male R&B is in a better place today than female R&B is.
On the way.
Okay? No, it's in a better place Heartbreak Anniversary is better than any record a female artist in R&B has made this past year. Hands down. That's me agreeing with your point.
All right. But
Okay.
peep game. So, in terms of what you said with A&R, right? If Jasmine Sullivan had
Or proper executive, because we could debate if no, because there's this thing now that A&Rs don't exist and it's not really necessary.
I'm giving
so
an example.
so I'm just saying proper. I'm just taking the word A&R off the table and saying proper executive.
right. So,
in
I'm
the
going
room.
to give you an example of something that I just recently went back to and forgot that was one of my favorite R&B albums. And this is giving Jermaine Dupri his just due, right? They did Confessions is what 04 comes out, boom. For my generation, it's one of those albums. It's just one of those classic R&B albums, one of the few classic R&B albums of the last, I would say, couple decades, in my opinion.
So I gotta give a teeny bit of context.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna let you please finish. Okay, Confessions isn't a Jermaine Dupri exercise. Confessions is a Mark Pitts exercise, and that's the reason why Mark Pitts is not catapulted, but got him on his path of being a major executive. Because on that album is Jermaine Dupri, and the Neptunes, and Diddy, and Just Blaze, and Brian Michael Cox. Okay,
And Lil Jon.
And Little John. That's again, Freddie. That's an A&R person. Okay, that's not what it was before. What it was before was L.A. Reid saying, Jermaine, go take Usher and hang out with him for 4 of my months and bring me 3/4 of an album, if not a whole album, and we'll finish off the rest because we'll write the couple of songs ourselves between me and Babyface.
Got you. So,
Okay, so that's a Mark Pitts exercise, not a Jermaine Dupri exercise, just for context. Please continue.
see? Now, with that, I'll be losing my whole point, man.
It's not a point to lose. Your point about the album's still the same.
So you got Confessions, and then you have Emancipation of Mimi. All right?
Okay.
2 albums that I really love. Mm-hmm. Right? And what you have in common is those people in that room, the greatness of the people in that room together. Was Mark Pitts involved with that too?
No, that one's more Jermaine Dupri than Confessions.
And Jermaine Dupri learned a hell of a lot from making Confessions, working alongside Mark Pitts, and I guess he took some of that sauce that he got from that experience, and said, "I'm going."
He's losing your face.
I'm not going to say it's on the same level, but
No,
I'm saying it was a great.
It's springboard.
It was a great project where I feel if Jasmine Sullivan had that opportunity that Emancipation of Mimi, we
That
would
world.
get that
That
version
world.
of that today.
1,000% agree.
That was the point I was trying to make. So I
1,000%
agree
agree.
with you, but
1,000%
that
agree.
Emancipation of Mimi is crazy. When you go
1,000%.
back to it,
No,
it's
no.
like, whoa.
Emancipation of Mimi is a fantastic record.
like,
I got probably 4
whoa.
songs down. So it's a great comeback
whenever
album.
There is, whenever there is someone that is flying 30,000 feet above what the project is to see the whole thing for what it is, it usually turns out well, right? When there's someone that's focused on just that, and they don't have 10 years and they're not a bullshit executive, right? When you think of Illmatic is another one of those things.
Isolated things.
You have Primo, you have Pete Rock.
Q-Tip.
I'm sorry. I got to do context. We messed this up twice. It Was Written is the first one. Illmatic is the next one.
What you talking about?
Nas.
Illmatic was the first one.
Illmatic was first.
It Was Written. No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Illmatic was
Yes.
Illmatic
Yes.
was one.
Don't confuse me, Kevin. Okay.
So with all of those things, even when you take a Wu-Tang, right? You got RZA sitting at 30,000 feet, but he still has Mathematics, Fourth Disciple,
Ninth Wonder.
Like there's a person that's over it that's seeing above it. You have Diddy, who has his own crew.
Hitman. Timberland
right?
with Scott Storch and Danger.
Timberland, Scotch. Even when you have like Dre and a very
Also has Scott Storch.
Also Scott, yeah.
and a very unknown name, but super integral.
Oh, wow.
Who's that?
Focus.
Right.
Right? who is Kashif's son.
Son. Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
What's Focus
when you
responsible
think
for
of when you think of all those monstrous piano lines in Dre records,
Because Dre can't play.
that's Focus.
Well, that's him doing that.
That's Focus.
Because Dre can't play.
Like that is, or that's how the Focus is stored.
And even if you go back to Death Row, you had what's the name?
No,
over
but
there with Tupac.
so the point that we're bringing up is that
there's
a visionary that understands the talent,
and the instruments underneath.
and that is something that is a little bit lost. The visionary with the talent. You ready, Lou? Sweetie is the talent. So Weedy is the talent. Who's the visionary?
Nobody.
Max Goose.
Really?
Yes. Right? These things are not hard. Okay? That's why the criticism of the Her album is that who's the visionary? But what is that visionary skill set? Not as a criticism.
Right.
Beyond talented, has the relationships, probably negotiated the best deals ever.
Who's the visionary for Alicia Keys? Coming out.
Who had to be the visionary for Alicia Keys is the better question.
Who's that?
It ended up being Clive.
Wait, so when Fallen came out, it was Clive?
Clive Davis.
Okay, got you.
Clive Davis found the song and said, you need to be singing this.
Right.
Get behind the piano and sing this.
Okay.
So there has to be a visionary. I'm not saying there has to be a visionary, but if the talent isn't uber beyond talented, make you laugh, a Stevie Wonder talent, okay, a Kanye West type of talent.
Well, he was.
He is what he was.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. Eventually, what I'm saying is that not that he wasn't A&R, but he eventually became, nobody's making 808.
Jay-Z level talent.
Yeah, or Jay-Z level. 808 and the Heartbreaks is not an A&R person.
Right.
808 Heartbreak is Kanye being Kanye to do Kanye. And it came back like, oh my God. And he said, I'm a singer. And we said, what the fuck? And we came back and said, yeah, motherfucker. We said, oh shit.
Now look at today.
Okay. So if you're not an uber beyond talent like that, then there has to be qualitative executives in the room or a visionary to manage the situation. Where the area gets gray is that the camp or the artists think they're those things.
And every artist can do.
And it has to be an executive in the room to say, it's not you. That's where a good executive comes into play.
Oh wait, so
So
been the visionary.
So someone has to walk in a room and say, Summer Walker, I need you to be doing this, this, and this. And what does this and this mean? Nah, you know what? Watch something as simple as this too, because this is how visionary stuff works. You know what? You're going to California. I want you to go hang out with Faith Evans for about 2 weeks. And do what? Don't matter. Just go. And let her, this is what people need to do. And let her talk to you about her stories on the road. And ask her every question you ever could ask her. Ask her what it was like to be in the studio with Mary J. Blige. Because remember, there's 2 songs, people don't remember this. There are 2 songs that Mary and Faith are both on, famously. Okay? Faith's version of Love Don't Live Here Anymore. Okay? And they're both on One More Chance remix.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't remember that Mary's on Love Don't Live Here anymore.
Right.
Okay? The song from Car Wash. The song by Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is the group by Car Wash. But you gotta do stuff like that. Okay? You used to, this is where Wu-Tang becomes Wu-Tang. This is where you have to. There's team building skills as well as record making skills, as well as artist development skills. There used to be companies called artist development, and their whole job was to say you can sing, but you are not ready to be an artist yet.
Quick question: you got a chance to watch?
I'm never watching any TV show about artists like a Wu-Tang or a movie, and I've had this conversation before, because they don't represent the project in totality. They always forget something major within the situation. I'm going to ask a question about the Wu-Tang movie, and if Lou says yes to this, I'll watch it. Is Steve Rifkin in the movie?
Yes.
Is he significantly in the movie where he needs to be?
Yeah.
Is Boo and Gabi in the movie?
Who?
Boo and Gabi.
They're not.
The promo guys.
It's not there in that story yet.
Not yeah. It's
They
they.
haven't gotten there.
Okay, so we're there. So, but Lou knows my reason why. If there's a reason for me to change my mind, I will absolutely change my mind. But I'm beyond validated in my justification of not watching some of these things.
No, I get what you're
Plus, I
saying.
don't want to download Hulu, so I want no more streaming services. No more streaming services for me.
I mean, I can give you my login. But
Cutting corners, man. Stop cutting corners. But
all right, young knees.
do we have that on camera? The original conversation
About
cutting corners so they can get it.
yes.
Okay.
That's an outtake though, because we talk about cutting corners in. We talk about it in it.
Yeah.
We have a big conversation about it before we get to it.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I think we have pieces of that.
All right,
that
cool,
was in the beginning.
Good outcast. Good outtake.
Either way, I think that there's certain if like I was woo adjacent, you were woo knee deep. Me being woo adjacent, looking at some of this stuff is slightly triggering.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Like and a lot of it has to do with the casting. Some of it has to do with the story because some of it doesn't jive with what I remember. And I do remember hearing that it was dramatized a lot. So,
Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of the things that happened didn't really happen.
Even a documentary, it differs from the documentary that the Showtime documentary that they had.
I mean,
It differs from that. So you know they got to make a show out of it. You know?
I think with hip hop about to be turning 50.
If you watch it, it'll be for comedy's sake.
And entertainment, yeah.
It'll be for comedy's sake.
Yeah.
So that
Because we could probably spend a half an hour joking about the guy that plays RZA
right.
Yo.
all day.
right.
Oh my God. Well,
Right.
we already discussed
Well, we
that. Yeah, we already.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Right. From a person that has intimately hung out with RZA.
Yeah.
Right. That would drive me a little bit batty. But
It's ridiculous.
no, I think that's a good place in space.
Yeah.
I think people are gonna watch this and they'll be like, I don't like them getting along so much.
Well, we did it for the second. Well, that's a whole different. That's 2 episodes, right?
No, I'm saying no. There's
How we doing that?
So look, we get
Well, that's gonna be a quick short.
yeah, we're good.
overtime.
Right.
Okay.
So Summer Walker's album is Did It.
Yeah, get it out of here.
Right?
I'm kind of didn't.
Not a that.
Yeah, I'm not double.
It's Did It.
It's not even vanilla ice cream.
What
for me.
what are your projections on SZA? Because she's the last one in the train.
Here's what I think. Before we get the tally dive, right?
No dive.
All right. Before we get the tally,
I have one statement. It's all yours.
tip off.
No dive. Just make the goddamn record.
Okay. For me, made the goddamn record, right? Cool. That's one. But as far as TDE, her camp now, I don't know what to expect. But I do think that they let everybody get their stuff out the way, you know? And I think 2022 is she has a big she no pressure, but it's all you have the floor.
There
There's
is nobody in her way.
It's quiet. All you have, you
It's her
got it.
floor.
So either it's ready and you're just gonna come out and you know you got it, or you gotta. It's not like you have crazy like a big hill to climb. You have to just fill that hole that we have in female R&B and make the record. So again, they're gonna be mad that we're agreeing. But the floor is hers. It's no
It's true. There's nobody in her
nothing.
way.
That's a fact.
There's
It's
no
just-
competition.
and I like her. She's been in this very room.
All right.
One of my very first clients from a decade plus ago.
Because she's from Jersey, right?
Yeah, it's the first
Yeah,
couple.
she's from Jersey.
Very nice person. Just very, very low key. I would like to see her win because she's just very nice.
I will say this though.
But-
Good Days was a hell of a start.
So here's-
when
so-
that dropped,
So here's what
I was like,
here's
okay,
what
we're getting somewhere.
Here's what
I'm
I was.
hoping the exposure to Doja Cat,
Right.
making that record, rubs off a little bit.
Well,
when
and-
she's making less obscure shit,
And all we
and
want,
goes for a couple of big records.
all we want from our artists. Let me not say we, but I know what I look for, so that their careers can move. I just want to see growth and expansion. Like you brought up Usher, okay? Usher went from Just Call Me a Mac to
Think of You.
Think of You to eventually doing You Make Me Wanna and My Way to get to
8701.
to get to 8701 to get the Yeah. That's perfectly fine. That's a wonderful trajectory of an artist that gets a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. One of the reasons why we're going back and forth so much is you know what I'm saying? We're not getting this.
She's the R&B Kendrick.
Yeah.
No. In terms of time.
I would like her to be.
In terms of time-wise.
He's another that falls in that category.
Right.
Kendrick
kept going up.
Kendrick wasn't the Dow Jones.
Straight. That's why now the pressure is crazy. Not to go on
We'll be fine, but Kendrick didn't do the Dow Jones. R&B female is Dow Jones, and that's my issue. And I want them to be, and I want SZA, which I'm absolutely going to sit here and not say be quiet, but just be very much watching, because last year we had the quote Jasmine Summer beginning of the year, then Here Comes Her and When Summer Walk. I'd say they were like a little bit where they're going to be within each other. There's nobody here for you, SZA.
Nobody.
There's nobody here that is coming or making an album. There may be some some legacy artists that are coming out, like Brandy may make an album. Okay, that's fine. But there's nobody in this generation's realm besides you. So you make the record, you become the queen, you run it. And again, I'm not saying make an album that sells 10 million copies. I'm saying can I just see growth in you as an artist, know that you're heading in the right direction. That's the reason we're going back and forth about all these artists. We're not seeing a trajectory of growth. We're seeing stagnation and questioning what's stagnating them. Right. What walls are they hitting?
See, here's what
I broke up with my man. You know what I mean? No good executive in the room. Okay? One loop saved the project.
So here's what I'll say, right? Here's what I'll say for SZA, right? SZA did what she did. This is why I say now that she has the floor to herself, the first time she dropped, she kind of did it because Solange was going crazy. Cranes in the Sky, that album, it was the same. Yeah. She went crazy. She stood against that and did what she did.
It's a good album, Solange.
Great album. Great album.
Baby crush on Solange.
Cranes in the Sky was I really love that song. But I think when SZA came out, she came with that edge. So you at the same time you had Crane in the Sky playing and For Us By Us and all that going on with Solange. This girl came with The Weeknd. I'm the Weeknd girl. I'm his weekend chick. You got him during the week, whatever,
Correct.
And sang it beautifully. You don't even know what you're singing. But you're like, wait, this is talking about a side chick. But
I wish she could do better than that. Okay.
Right, exactly. So the fact that she did that with that, this is where we get to see what TDEs
or her
Camp
or
and
her right
do with that. Right, so all that is part of her history. She doesn't have much history because that one album was so big, that was that, and then now for the new project, here we are 5 years later. 5. This is not 2. This is 5 years we're talking. So now everybody, not only did you get the competition out the way, purposely, I think, in my opinion. Now the floor is yours. Don't mess it up because it's just you. So either you're going to completely go out the box with us or you're going to give us more control. I don't want more control 5 years later from you.
So that's a lot of so just
a lot of components there.
So from an industry standpoint, that potentially, I'm not saying wrap it up, but from an industry standpoint, a lot of the X factors in this we're not speaking about is that we have no idea what's happening behind the scenes. None. Okay. So to use a small example we used in the past, right? A. Marie. But there's no Rich Harrison. The effect upon that immaculately affects what the album's going to be, no matter what anybody says. Okay, look at like solo Wu-Tang projects, and they've not been necessarily bad. We've had some great ones. Okay, but in general, what they all have missed, if they haven't had it, is where's RZA's oversight. And it doesn't matter what the business deal is, where they're signed to, how much money there is, this, that, and the third, it's still there. Where's RZA?
Purple tape included?
Again, I said there's been some good ones, but overall, the question has been, where's RZA? Not in a bad way, in a continuity way, like you just said, Lou, right? From 30,000 feet way. Okay, so we don't know what's happening business-wise behind the scenes on some of these things. We have no idea the impact of what may have happened at the label once the situation happened with Summer Walker in London. We have no idea. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example that you guys may not be aware of. London may have been signing a production deal or a label deal with the label because of what he's done production-wise and had his own acts he's about to put out. But because he broke up with Summer Walker, the label had to make a decision of priority. And may have said, well, Summer's here, you're not yet. Let's say, for argument's sake, this stuff happens in industry, people. Let's say that London was having an affair with one of the acts that he was dealing with that's going to be on the label that he's going to get the label deal from the label. And now we got one girl in the office and the other girl in the office. This happens. And the label saying, well, we're not signing that group because that group messes with the Summer Walker thing. And he might actually be really involved with that girl. He may have had a baby with that girl. And now he's upset and he's not okay because the label ain't doing him right. This is all behind the scenes. It has nothing to do with good record, bad record. We hear about it on the other side once it happens of how much turmoil B2K has and why they don't get along on tour. Right. Guess what was happening? They weren't getting along when they were signed. But we ain't see that. We just saw them jumping around and flipping and saying everything must be okay. We don't know these things. So when we hear that Jay's on Donda, yeah, but you don't know what they've been going through. Jay-Z may have been Kanye's Dr. Phil as this whole thing was happening with Kim Kardashian and trying to keep them together. Or say leave her. I don't know. I'm just saying that those are the X factors that we know nothing apart. But if you're in a building, you see this stuff left and right. And then when the product doesn't work, you're like, well, Steve Stout wasn't around when Nas was making these records. That's why these records don't sound good. But Steve Stout is now everywhere you see Nas. Right. How do these projects sound lately, guys? He's a seasoned executive. Steve Stout was there when they did If I Ruled the World. So of course he's there now. People don't catch this type of stuff. So I'm off my soapbox. Industry rule number 4. Oh, wait. Lou's gonna love this one. So today, I want to make sure I give the respect to Charlene Martinez, who has consistently, for the past little while, made sure that I was okay, checking on me, making sure I'm straight, and making sure I'm keeping focus and doing what I need to do so I can still maintain what we're doing right now. You are appreciated. You are respected. Thank you very much. Charlene. We are in the bowels of Savage Sound Studios. Google it. I'm Tally.
I'm Quan.
This is industry rule number 4080. And remember, light and darkness cannot coexist. So if you're going to choose to be the light.
Every time.